Hello again, it's Alyssa here, Conscious Evolution Coach for Creative Nonconformists, talking about You Are a Badass at Making Money, Chapter 5 by Sincero. And this chapter is called The Hollering of Your Heart. And it is all about falling in love with your desire to get rich and getting really specific about what you want. And Jen shares the most funny story in here about her house sitting for someone, and she was responsible for taking care of their horse and goats. And these goats on the property would hang out on the porch area, and there was a sliding glass door. So when she was like typing away at her laptop doing some work, she could see the goats on the porch, and the goats would just like look at her like, why the fuck can I be in there with you? Like, they would glare at her, she was saying. And then every once in a while they would get really mad and they'd slam the window, like the sliding glass door, with their hooves. And they would also, they've even like ran up and like would headbutt it because they wanted in the house so bad, and they were like so confused of why they couldn't be in there. And one day Jen went out into town to do some shopping. She came back about 5 hours later, and she saw that the horse was standing out in the driveway alone, and I guess the horse was really needy, and so she thought it was a little bit weird because the horse loved to have the goats next to him. And she was like, it's kind of weird that I see the horse in the driveway and the goats are, she could hear the goats slamming against the sliding glass door, and she thought, that's kind of weird, like they're slamming to get in there when I'm not there, because they would see her inside and want to be in there with her. And then she realized, oh my God, they're slamming the sliding glass door because they're trying to get out. Holy shit, how did this happen? She went running. Sure enough, the goats had gotten in. And then what happened is the slider of the screen slid back and like kind of trapped them in there, I guess. And so they all got in. They broke the door down, got in, and then they fucking raised hell in this person's house. They had grabbed the towel that she had dried a bunch of glasses on down from the counter. They ripped it out, so it shattered all the glasses. There was glass all over the floor. The goats had pissed and shit all over the house. They had torn up and knocked down all the potted plants. They even had gotten to the artwork on the walls and ripped it down. And she was just like horrified, but at the same time like in awe, and finally she describes feeling even impressed with their thorough job of destroying this home. Their level of destruction in the period of time that they had. And she talks about that, and she shares this story, I believe, because it's an example of the tenacity and determination that you need if you want to truly fucking get rich and live a life of your desires. That is like, you need to be so fucking focused and so in love with the life that you're creating that you let nothing stop you. So these goats, like, they knew, and they wanted to for so long, they knew that they were going to get into this fucking house one way or another, right? And they did. And when they did, they just did this insanely impressive job of destroying everything. And, the story is about, I'm just going to read from the book, okay? So here are some of the secrets to success that the goats modeled beautifully. Chewing, kicking, stampeding through any obstacle in their path. Never taking no for an answer. The same thing, pretty much. Following their hearts no matter what. Not stopping until they reach their goal. Dreaming bigger than goats are told they can dream. Right? Because everyone, like, not everyone, everyone could experience, like, just expressing, saying like, this is my goal, my dream, or my desire, right? And then having someone say, well, that's too big, or that's too much, or you could never do that, or what about this, right? Like, people will tend to argue for your limitations. And what you need to do is not allow anyone to fucking stop you, and not allow anyone to try to talk you out of or hold you back from what you really desire. That is so, so important. And it is something that myself, I've come up against, especially like 5 or 6 years ago, probably like, yeah, a little bit longer than that. Like when I was really shifting my life, like during my divorce and just doing a lot of deep healing work and figuring out what I really wanted. I had a lot of people around me at that time that would argue for my limitations and that just didn't understand. And they were like, what is she doing? She's like totally going out of her bubble. Like, this is weird. And we don't know what to think about that. And so, and I also would, you know, coach clients and teach students that were experiencing a lot of the same things. You know, they were trying to break out of their comfort zone and follow their dreams and their big goals, and the people around them would do the same things. And so it's really important to know how to navigate that. And first and foremost is like, don't fucking listen to them. You know, don't let that stop you. So, she says that, you know, the goats getting into the house had opened up a whole new world for them, literally and metaphorically. They transcended their outdoor farm animal status and became creatures who've experienced 1,000 thread count sheets. They were forever changed. They were drunk with power on their victory and their newfound mindset that anything they desire is possible. So they started breaking through the gate and terrorizing the neighborhood on a regular basis. They began jumping all over people's parked cars. They tried to break in and enter a sliding glass door any sliding glass door that happened upon them. They tore down bird feeders, obliterated gardens, chased after small dogs, all while maniacally screaming, yelling, laughing, and pissing wherever they pleased, like a pair of carousing psychopaths. So it's just like, I love this story. It's so fucking funny. You have to get this book and read this story. It's so funny. So again, her point is getting really specific and letting nothing stop you with the tenacity of a goat. The tenacity of a fucking goat. So in order to inspire ourselves to make money, the exciting kind that we've never made before, we need to be excited about it. And because money on its own is a meaningless pile of paper and coins, you're going to want to get crystal clear about what the money is for and what it means to you and how it makes you feel. So, you know, Jen gives an example of like, you wouldn't order a sandwich and say like, well, I just want a sandwich. Like you go to Subway and you're like, can you just make me a sandwich, please? Well, you're going to ask you like, okay, well, what bread do you want on? I don't know, just a sandwich. Like, you got to be fucking specific. And the specifics, the reason why is the specifics, they will help you to get really clear on what you desire when you start talking in specifics with, you know, getting really clear with yourself, really specific, but they also create emotion within you. Like if you've ever thought about like why you want to get rich or why you want to make more money or why you want to get that promotion or why behind you experiencing more wealth in your life. You know, for me, one of the things that really fires me up is as I have more resources and the more money I have, the more people I can help. One of the big things that I always go to is like my siblings. Like I could employ my youngest sister, you know, and give her a totally remote job to where she could be making more money than she's ever made. Probably, you know, I'm just assuming here, and then being able to have the flexibility to also work while her young son, my nephew, is home with her, and allow her to have more time and flexibility to pursue all of her creative efforts, which will, I know, inevitably be her making money point. But it's like, I see, it's like now I'm connecting with that. And like, when you can connect with that emotion of why do you want to make that money? That is what motivates you to manifest it. It's not about like, oh, I'd love to have another $10,000. Yeah, it sounds good. Like that sounds nice, but it's like, why? Why do you want the money? Well, because I can spend $5,000 and pay off all of my debt. I can spend $2,000 on totally new recording music equipment, which will further my music career. Like, you know, like getting really specific. Why do you want these things? How is this going to impact your life and others' lives? Because I know for a lot of people that's true too. Like just how I feel about helping others. It's like that can be a real motivator. You want to fucking do good in the world? Then make a fuck ton of money. Fucking period. I am just so on fire about this because I'm so sick of people, just, and including myself at times, of course, like that's why I'm doing this, is I'm reprogramming myself. And this is how I reprogram myself, is by talking about shit. And I activate it within me and within others while I'm speaking it. So I'm sick of people, including myself, of us having fucked up ideas around money. And then, therefore, limiting our ability to fucking make the impact and influence that we know that we can in our lives, because somehow we don't deserve it. Somehow we're not worthy enough. Somehow we, we're too uncomfortable and we're too fucking afraid to step out of our comfort zone. That's fucking bullshit. Like, we need to do things differently. And that is why I'm doing this, why I'm speaking about this. Like, I know that emotion, like you just got a demo of it, a live demo of how that, motivates you. So, let's see. So, like, getting really specific, like, Jen gives reasons here, too. Like, I'll be an inspiration to other women, like my daughters, and women in struggle, specifically those who feel trapped in an abusive relationship with men. That's one of the things she says, like, this person is getting specific about. They say, I can contribute thousands of dollars a year to charities to help save animals. It makes me feel confident and powerful knowing I did what it took to stop being broke and get fucking rich. I mean, those are like a little bit generic, but they're, that could be your specific thing. You would make it yours. Like, get really specific. Why do you want to make more money? Why do you want more money in your life? We all deserve to have all of the fucking resources to experience our greatest life. Sometimes I want to say to do our work in the world, and I will say that because that's how I feel. Like, I feel for me, getting and experiencing more wealth, it's not even getting, it's like experiencing more wealth. Jen uses the terms like get rich a lot, which is fine. But for me, it's like having that wealth and having these resources, the more that I have, the bigger of an impact I can make. And that is what lights me up. That is what makes me feel really good. And to know that I can have all the experiences that I desire. I get to, travel, and I get to inspire people, and I get to create really mind-blowing experiences for people. That feels so amazing. And for my children, like, I get to give them all these opportunities that if I don't have the resources for, if I don't have the money for, they will miss out on. And that is unacceptable to me. So these things need to be specific to you, and you need to become like so fired up about them that you have that emotion with it. And you also, you're falling in love with your richness, with your abundance that is, by the way, your fucking birthright. So, any fears and beliefs that you'll become a sellout or greedy fathead like your awful Aunt Sally will be drowned out by the harps and chirping of bluebirds taking up space in your head and your heart. We fall in love with very specific things and people, so getting mighty clear on the details of your impending richness is critical. Okay, and then Jen has a story in here that I think is also really important to share too, about her friend. So she has a friend that is just like a natural comedian and was just really funny, really great at like getting people together and doing like open mic nights and like comedy nights, and was just so fucking brilliant in that way. And he just kind of like took it for granted and thought like, well, this is something that I love doing, but it's like I do it for my friends and like I can never get paid for it. And so he had this job that he was in for a long time that he hated eventually. And then he finally one day met someone that was doing what he came naturally to him, and they were doing this as a job, as a profession, and they were like kind of shitty. Like, they weren't that great of a person. They weren't very good at what they were doing, and they were making a lot of money doing that. And he was like, that was like his, that last straw for him. He was like, what the fuck? this person isn't even like that great at what they're doing, yet they're doing what I really want to be doing, what I'm actually really good at doing. They're making a fuck ton of money. Why can't I? Of course you can. Of course. So that's important to think about because a lot of times we will diminish or dismiss things that come naturally to us. Well, that's just too easy. Like, I could never make money. Like, I couldn't sell that because I'm not like really working for it, because I'm just like good at that naturally. Fuck yes, you can. You can. Because those things for others, they're not natural. They don't come as easy. And when you can give those gifts that just like come from you and it's like easy, it helps other people. It really does. Because everyone's different. Everyone's unique. So don't, dismiss those things that you are inherently good at and that you really fucking love. That's like your sweet spot. You're like, I fucking love this and I love it. I'm fucking good at it. And it kind of just like comes naturally. Like, what you can do too, if you're not super clear on this, ask people around you. Like, ask people that are close to you to say, what do you think stands out about me? Like, what do you think are some of my strengths? A really awesome prompt that one of my old life coaches gave me that I fucking love. And she made me do this exercise where she had me call like 10 people and then ask them, when Alyssa walks into a room, she brings blank. And then they had to like fill in the blanks and you just had to like pause and let them talk. And that was really confronting for me. Like, it terrified me. It was hard for me to do, but it gave me some really powerful insight and awareness that what people saw, and my strengths that maybe I couldn't see so clearly, or maybe that I was doing that thing that I just described of like maybe diminishing or not acknowledging my gifts because I feel like it's just, like you're so close to it. Sometimes when you're so close to things, you can't see that. You need somebody else's perspective. So I highly encourage you to do that. Is to ask someone that's close to you, and allow them to give you the gift of that, their perception of your strengths or how they see you. And it can be very, very powerful. So, another thing that Jen talks about in this chapter is really getting into this mode of, and this feeling of this and this. Like, a lot of times we will trade one thing for another. So, I guess how I'm trying to say this is like, we think maybe I could have this nice car, but then I can't really have the house that I want. Or I can, invest in this, but then I can't have that. Like, a lot of us have that thinking going on, the either or thinking, either this or that. Like, I'll take this vacation, but then I'm going to like, I'm not going to take a vacation again for another 2 years. Stop fucking doing that. You can have everything that you want. It can be both and that's one thing she talks about in this chapter. She's like, you can be at your desired weight and eat chicken wings. Granted, we're not talking about like, all I'm eating is chicken wings, but you get to do both and have a big fancy career and be a great mom, be a good Christian and make tons of money, get a timeshare and save for your old age. Those are some examples she gives. So it's like, we get to have it all. Like, that is okay. You get to get a massage and get that pedicure. You get to invest in, the highest, what is it called, 91 octane for your car, and go through the super deluxe car wash. Like, I don't know. You get to do all of it. You don't have to it's not, you get to have all that you desire. You really do. But it starts with you allowing yourself to do that. And the next part on here is open wide, which is so, perfectly titled for this whole idea, right? And then Jen gives examples of how you can get clear, how you can get into your specifics of your why and why you want to be so fucking wealthy and abundant and rich as fuck. So, let's see. So you have to be as serious as a heart attack about creating an awesome life in order to crowbar yourself out of your comfort zone and make it happen. So the thing is that's really important about this is I want you to think about a time in your life where you had made a decision and you did whatever it took, no matter what, to make that happen. Because I know that you have examples of that. Look back in your life and do a little overview. I bet you could pick out at least like 3 things that probably come pretty easy from memory of you recalling when are those times in your life where you're like, you saw that person, you saw that job, whatever it was, and you were like, that is mine. I want that. Maybe it's a pair of shoes, like whatever the fuck it is, right? You know that when you make a decision like that, and you know and you want it bad enough, nothing will fucking stop you. So that is the energy that we're talking about that really can bring the fucking money. Okay, so Jen gives a lot of tips in here that I'm not going to go through all of these, but just get this book. Just buy the fucking book. You can get it at the library. That's how I first got my hands on it. I checked it out from the library and kept renewing it until they wouldn't let me anymore, and then I bought it. So there's no fucking excuse on saying like, oh, I can't afford it. Fuck that shit. Get it from your library. The money mantra I will leave you with, which is at the end of each chapter. I love money because I love living an awesome life. All right, thank you so much for joining me again for the chapter 5 of You're a Badass at Making Money. I will see you very soon for chapter 6, which is called, I believe, Your Mental Makeover, or Your Mental Money Maker. I'm sure this is going to be a fun one too, as they all are. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoy my content, please subscribe, because I have a goal right now of getting to 100 subscribers so that I can do YouTube live streaming, and I can give you more content that way, because as soon as I have 100 subscribers minimum, I am able to really just hop on here live as I'm inspired, and I love doing that because, number one, it allows me to interact with you in real time. That is so important, and I really get great energy from that, and I love being able to do that. And I'm sure that you would appreciate that as well. So if you like this, please subscribe and like it and share it with people. I would love that. Thank you so much. Bye.